When we think of the earliest ancient empires, we usually picture the exact same thing: towering monuments built to guarantee a ruler would never be forgotten. These societies ran on conquest. They funded their massive growth through standing armies, taking land and resources from their neighbors by force. And the wealth they took was poured directly into enormous palaces and temples. The architecture itself was designed to physically separate the elite at the top from the commoners down below. History suggests a specific path to dominance. To build a massive, enduring superpower, you need a king, you need a weapon, and a strict hierarchy. But in 1921, workers laying a railway line in British India kept hitting deeply buried, perfectly baked bricks. Archaeologists started digging, and they stumbled into a society the world had completely forgotten. This was the Indus Valley civilization. Its physical footprint covered 1.3 million square kilometers, making it significantly larger than its contemporaries in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Yet, across all that territory, archaeologists found a significant lack of traditional evidence. There were no royal palaces, there were no giant statues of god kings, and there was absolutely no trace of large-scale military weapons. They maintained a complex society for centuries without a ruling dictator or a standing military. How do you build an ancient superpower without them? Instead of laboring over massive tombs for dead elites, the Indus Valley people directed their wealth toward the living. They built civic infrastructure. Look at this aerial view of a grid system. This is a modern satellite city, but 5,000 years ago, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro were laid out with the exact same spatial logic. Their main streets and narrow alleys intersected at strict 90-degree angles. Inside those grids, ordinary citizens lived in multi-story houses. They didn't use cheap mud for these structures. Almost every home was constructed from standardized kiln-fired bricks designed to withstand centuries of use. They didn't leave behind a Great Pyramid. Their defining monument was the invention of a highly organized, completely standardized city block. That deep standardization extended into public health. Almost every single house was connected to a master-planned street drainage network. The drains were fully covered with bricks to prevent disease, and they even installed designated manholes for maintenance. Their most prominent civic structure reflects these exact priorities. This is the Great Bath in Mohenjo-Daro. It's a massive, waterproofed public facility, lined with fitted bricks and sealed with a layer of natural tar. To fund all of this, they turned outward. They established a trade network reaching as far as Oman and Mesopotamia, supported by artificial dockyards constructed in coastal cities like Lothal, and they made that trade efficient. Merchants across the entire civilization used a standardized system of weights and measures based on multiples of 16. You could trade goods hundreds of miles apart and know exactly what you were getting. Economic precision, clean streets, and reliable civic trust, these were the engines that drove their society. They achieved dominance through organization, bypassing the need for a standing military. We understand their engineering, but there is a barrier preventing us from understanding the people themselves. We have thousands of artifacts, like the top square seal featuring a distinct pictographic script. Despite decades of effort, nobody can read it. Look at the lower seal's central horned figure. Because this code remains unbroken, their laws and religion remain a mystery. We are left guessing at their lives through silent objects. Small bronze figures like this one give us a glimpse into a society that clearly had a rich, expressive culture. But until linguists finally crack those symbols, the actual history of the society remains a silent archive of data. Then, around 1900 BC, this remarkably stable society began to rapidly collapse. The physical evidence is stark. The grid cities, the meticulous drainage systems, and the vast trade networks were simply abandoned. The leading theory points to climate change. Tectonic shifts likely caused the mighty Indus River to change course, destroying their water supply. Other researchers point to different environmental disasters. Repeated flooding from those shifting rivers could have overwhelmed the brick cities. Alternatively, a widespread pandemic might have forced the surviving population to scatter. It is a specific irony of history. A society focused on mastering public health and water was likely dismantled by nature itself. Still, the ruins they left behind challenge the assumption that a society needs conquest or kings to achieve greatness. They reached the same heights as Egypt or Mesopotamia by prioritizing different things: shared organization, equal access to housing, and regional trade. When you look at modern urban planning, the push for reliable sanitation, structured zoning, and public infrastructure, we are pursuing the same goals they achieved 5 millennia ago. The Indus Valley stands as physical proof that a society can achieve the status of a superpower while leaving behind nothing but the evidence of its own collective well-being.